So in this video, I'm going through P2 and section 8.1 definite integrals. And for definite integrals, it's actually very straightforward. But the first thing I want to do is to remember how to integrate. So to integrate, you add 1 to the power and then you divide by that new power. And usually you would add c at the end, but for definite integrals, you do not need to add c. And you will know it's a definite integral question because they will give you two numbers at the top of the bottom of the integration sign. That's the upper limit, and that is the lower limit. And you're expected to substitute these limits after you've integrated. So let's integrate 3x squared. It's very straightforward. I add 1 to the power. This gives me x cubed. And then I divide. So here divide by 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1. So I just have x cubed. Then I put it in a bracket and I put my upper and lower limits. And I'm going to substitute the upper limit in. And I'm going to substitute the lower limit in as well and subtract. So it's always the upper limit first. So substitute this value first. So it's going to be 3 cubed subtract 1 cubed. So I'm substituting the upper limit first, and then I have my subtraction sign and I substitute the lower limit. So this is 27 minus 1, which is 26. With definite integrals, you're going to get a numerical value at the end. The second example asks you also to find the value of the integral, but first you have to multiply out the brackets. So I'm going to integrate x squared, and then this minus 3x plus 1x, so it's going to be negative 2x minus 3. That's what I am integrating, and I integrate each part separately. So this becomes x cubed, and of course there's a 1 there, so I'm going to divide by 3, so it gives me a third, and I can write it as divide by 3, or you can write it as a third. And then this is x squared, so I'm going to divide by 2, so this is simply a minus x squared, and then minus 3x. And then I put in bracket, and I put 3 and negative 1. And I'm going to substitute the upper limit into the whole expression first. So I'm going to open a big bracket, and then every x turns into a bracket as well, and I'm substituting the upper limit first. Close my big bracket, put my minus sign, open a big bracket, and then smaller brackets, and I'm going to substitute the lower limit into all of these terms. And then I close the big bracket. And actually, you can do this exactly on your calculator. So this is my big bracket. Then my second bracket, I've got 3 cubed, and I have my fraction divided by 3, minus 3 squared, minus 3 times 3, and big bracket. And then minus big bracket, smaller bracket, minus 1 cubed, fraction divided by 3, minus brackets negative 1 squared, minus 3 brackets negative 1, and then close big brackets. And I'm just going to go through to make sure I've typed everything correctly. Yes, I have. So equals. And the answer is negative 32 over 3. Now, yes, you can get negative answers. You will see what that means and how to use it in the sections to come. The next one is from your P2 textbook, and it says evaluate and it gives you a squared bracket. And the first thing you need to remember is that this has come from a double bracket. X to the power of a third minus 1 times x to the power of a third minus 1. Now remember, when you're multiplying with indices, you're adding the powers, not multiplying. So it's going to be x to the power of 2/3, x to the power of 2/3. And of course, this is a 1, and I'm dividing by, I haven't started to integrate yet, actually. Let's just focus on what we're doing. So x to the power of 2/3, and then this is minus x to the third, minus x to the power of a third, so minus 2x to the power of a third, and then plus 1. Now I need to integrate. So I need to add 1 to 2/3. So 1 plus 2/3 is 5/3. 5/3. So I've added 1 to the power. There is my 1 here, and I need to divide by the new power, which is 5/3. 1 divided by 5/3 is the reciprocal, so it's 3/5. And then I also need to add 1 to the third. So 1 add a third is 4/3. And I need to divide that by 4/3. So 2 divided by 4/3 is 3/2, so minus 3/2, and then plus x plus 1x. And then I substitute 1 into all of this. And of course, 1 to the power of anything is still 1 times anything else is these values. So I've got 3/5 minus 3/2 plus 1. And of course, if you substitute in 0 to every single term, the answer is going to be 0. So that's rather nice. So all I need to do now is put 3/5 minus 3/2 plus 1, and I get a 1/10. So the value of the integral is a 1/10. And then the final example, which is also from the P2 textbook, is as follows. So it says, given that P is a constant, it's a number, it's not a variable, I'm not integrating with respect to it. So given that P is a constant, and when you integrate 2px plus 7, and you find the value of the definite integral between 5 and 1, it equals 4p squared. So that's an equation. They've given you an equation. Show that there are two possible values for p, and find these values. For some reason I didn't copy the whole thing. Show that there are two possible values for p. Let's add that. For p, and find these values. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is to integrate that. I'm integrating with respect to x. So I increase the power, so it becomes x squared. I divide by the new power, so 2 divided by 2 is 1, and I'm left with px squared. And then this becomes plus 7x. And then I'm going to substitute 5 and 1, and all of that equals 4p squared. That doesn't go anywhere. So when I substitute 5 into x squared, it gives me 25p. And then when I substitute the 5 into the 7x, it gives me 7 times 5, which is 35. And then I'm going to subtract, and I'm going to substitute the 1 in to both terms. So this is 1 squared is 1 times p is p. 1 times 7 is 7. Now remember, you're subtracting everything. You're subtracting the p, you're subtracting the 7. 25 take away p is 24p. 25p take away p is 24p. 35 minus 7 is a plus 28, and that equals 4p squared. Well, you can see that it is a quadratic. I'm going to keep the squared term positive, so I'm going to move everything to that side. 4p squared minus 24p minus 28. Now, if you also notice, everything divides by 4. So the best thing to do, because this is an equation, not if you just want to factorize, but because this is an equation, you can divide everything by 4 to make it a little bit easier. So this is p squared minus 6p minus 7. And I'm going to factorize that. So this is p minus 7 p plus 1. Therefore, p equals 7 or p equals negative 1. And that is definite integral section 8.1.